Hello, everybody, and welcome to the cooking demo. This is for the LeCirque, which is going to be happening in our Pinnacle Grill coming up. My name's Katie, and I'm part of your explorations team this cruise. The Pinnacle Grill on the 10th day in Santorini will be hosting the LeCirque, which is a specialty restaurant that comes in just for one day every cruise. So today we'll be featuring two items. We'll be featuring our lobster salad and our creme brulee. So at this time, if I could get a round of applause, we're going to bring out our chef, Derek.
Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. All right, so like Katie said, we have two great recipes here. It's going to be featured at our LeCirque night in the Pinnacle. So we have the LeCirque lobster salad and LeCirque creme brulee. There will be some creme brulee samples, so I know it's a great breakfast. So I'll go over some of the ingredients that are components to our LeCirque lobster salad. We have a Boston lettuce or Bib lettuce here. We're going to be using that. I'll show you how to use it. We're just going to be using the inside leaves of this lettuce. They're a little more crisp, and we're going to be building up the layers of the lettuce to build a tower. So I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. We're going to be using a Roma tomato. It's a nice hearty tomato, so it's great for this salad. I'm going to show you how to make a grapefruit supreme or grapefruit segment. Supreme is the fancy French term word for that. Potato confit, so I'll explain that a little bit. And then we have haricot vert, which is fancy French word again for string bean or green bean. We'll be using a lobster tail. We're going to be, we have slices of avocado, and that's basically our components to the salad. And of course, we'll be making a cocktail brandy sauce and a lemon vinaigrette. In our cocktail brandy sauce, there'll be mayonnaise, ketchup, whipped cream, cayenne pepper, and some brandy. So that's good. And obviously our lemon vinaigrette, it's just lemon, some olive oil, and some salt and pepper. To start off, we're going to be poaching our lobster tail. So I already had this water at a boil, and I'm going to salt it. You want a good amount of salt in there. It's going to help season our lobster tail. And then I'll be making court bouillon. Court bouillon, another fancy French term, is a mirepoix with a little bit of acid added to your poaching liquid. Now, mirepoix, another fancy French word, is 60% onion, typically 20%. Sorry, is my math correct there? Yes. 60% onion, 20% carrot, and 20% celery. So we'll add that to our poaching liquid. Now, you don't have to worry about the chop to this because it's just going to be flavoring, so just a rough chop is fine.
And if at any time anybody has any questions, we would love to answer them, so feel free to ask anything you'd like.
Yeah. So in here goes the onions, some celery. Once again, you don't have to worry about the chop. It's just for seasoning. Some carrot. This is basically the beginning of a veggie stock. Now, typically you'd want, if for our demonstration purpose, I don't have that much time, but you'd want to simmer this for about 30 minutes to extract all the flavors out of the vegetables. So once that's good, we'll just bring it up again to a boil. But you don't want to boil your lobster because then it's going to become too tough. So I'm just making sure that it's hot enough. I'll bring it back down to heat, and then we'll just be simmering our lobster tail. Now, this is a Canadian lobster, just like myself. It's about 6 to 7 ounces. So it comes off a lobster about a pound and a half. Now, if you were to buy it with the shell on, it's very easy. You would just take your knife, crack it down the shell, and then peel it back and break the backs on the leg. I'm keeping the tail part on because it's pretty, and it also will curl up, and it'll help use it for a platform when I'm resting it on to my leaves, my lettuce leaves. So I've boiled this already, and now it's coming up to a simmer again, so we're just going to put it in here to poach. I don't have wine with me, so I just need an acid in there to complete my court bouillon. So I'll just squeeze some lemon juice and use that as my acid. You don't want to overcook it, so it'll just take a couple minutes. You can tell once it starts to curl up. And if you look down the back of it, once it's not opaque anymore, you know that it's fully cooked. All right, so we'll start on our sauce now. So we'll start on our lemon vinaigrette. Just a little trick, it might be hard for some people to squeeze out juice out of a lemon. So if you roll it on a table first, it kind of loosens up the membranes. It's quite easy. Also, you got the seeds, so you don't want that in your vinaigrette. So an easy way is just taking a tong. Everyone has this at home, going through the thin part of it and squeezing it. You'll get maximum. Watch your eyes there. You'll get maximum juice out of there, and what happens is the seeds will stay on top because of gravity, obviously. So it's one time gravity works in your favor. One did fall in there. That's all right.
And I know everyone's going to go home and try this first when you get home.
A foolproof way is just using a strainer.
Too easy.
So we're going to be just emulsifying this with some olive oil. Now, if you're alone at home, and you're only one person, and you start whisking and the bowl's moving all around, a good trick is just to wet some paper towel or a regular towel and place it under your bowl, and it'll prevent it from sliding on you. So we're just going to be slowly drizzling some olive oil into our lemon juice. And the slower you do this, the stronger emulsification you will have. Obviously, at one point, this will separate on you. But if you have it in a squirt bottle, you can just give it a shake again, and it's pretty much will emulsify again. So you can see it's turning a cloudy color, so the lemon and the oil are binding together. Now, for most vinaigrettes, you'd want to use, depending on how tart you'd like it, it'd be about one part vinegar or acid to 3 parts oil. So we'll just add a little bit of salt to our vinaigrette, and that's it. I mean, it's very simple, but what the lemon does, it just accentuates all the flavors and different components to our salad. So I'll place that on the side there. Next to making our brandy sauce, cocktail sauce. So it's 1 part mayonnaise to half part ketchup.
And remember, if you are interested in attending the LeCirque dinner, it is best to make a reservation as early as possible because you're going to want to be there.
All right, so some ketchup. Some cayenne. Depending on how much heat you could add as much or as less as you like. But this is also just going to give it a little bit of an extra zing to it. And then, of course, some brandy. Or a little more brandy. You don't want to add too much, just because we're not cooking it off. Usually when you use alcohol, you cook it off so you won't get that alcohol flavor. This is nice because it will get that alcohol flavor, so use a good brandy, and you don't want to overkill it. Now the last component, which is quite easy, interesting. So we can see here, just to move on to our lobster, we can see it's cooked. I don't want to overcook it. It's curled up quite nice. I can see down the spine of it that it's no longer opaque, so that it's ready. All right, I'll shut that off. Okay, so back to the brandy cocktail sauce. We're going to be using some whipped cream. Now, obviously, there's no sugar added to this, so it's just 35% cream that we've whipped. We added no salt. We just left it pure form, and then we'll be adding it to the rest of the ingredients of our sauce. It's important. At first, we're just going to be folding it into the sauce because we want to keep the integrity of the whipped cream. we've spent some time whisking some air into that, so we want to keep it fluffy. And adding it to this sauce is going to also make our sauce nice and fluffy. So if I was just to whisk it in or take a spoon and whip it up real quickly, I'd be losing all that air in the whipped cream. So to fold, you just go from the bottom of your bowl and kind of fold the sauce right on top of it until it's incorporated. It's a little time consuming, so I'll cheat a little bit here for you guys, but when you're doing this at home, that you want to fold it as much as possible to keep it nice and fluffy. So I just gave the nod, and now we're going to be having some creme brulees being passed around, which is our next part of our demonstration here.
I actually had an opportunity on the last cruise I was with to meet Mr. and Mrs. Macchioni, which are the owners of the LeCirque and numerous other restaurants around the world. And I got to witness Mr. Macchioni sitting on the side in a rocking chair while Miss Macchioni sat up here and did the cooking. And they are your typical Italian family. They're very loud, they were very expressive, and she was talking behind his back the whole time. But this creme brulee is actually Mr. Macchioni's favorite. So Miss Macchioni was explaining to everyone that when she does do the creme brulee, she does it for him for special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, so, you know, a little extra special touch. And they actually have cookbooks out, too, that you can find on the Holland America website, and you can find it any restaurant you Google about them, the LeCirque. You can look up Mr. and Mrs. Macchioni. They're actually a very, very interesting family, and they're very fun, and it's always fun to have them on board and, actually get firsthand experience with them.
So I just finished off with a little bit of lemon juice. Once again, that's going to highlight all the flavors inside of our sauce and just kind of bring it alive. So we have our sauce, brandy cocktail sauce. We have our lemon vinaigrette. We can start building our salad. So you might think this is a lot of waste, but we're just going to be peeling off the back, the kind of the wilted leaves of the outside exterior of the Boston lettuce, and just using the interior leaves. Like I said, it's a little more crispy and a little more firm. But this is not waste. You can chop this up put in salads or tacos, or give it to people you don't care about. So we're going to be pulling off 4 leaves from the interior. And then we'll be taking a mold, just like this, a round mold. And we'll be layering our leaves together. And then with the mold, we'll just be making uniform shapes out of the leaves. So it's just a little more fancier. People like to eat with their eyes, so it's just, it's a lot more pretty to look at. And now we have nice, crisp, uniform leaves from the interior of the bib lettuce, so it's quite nice. And we'll be stacking our lobster right on top of that for a presentation. Now, to show you what a grape supreme is, it's just the flesh part of this grapefruit. Sorry, you could do this with orange, with lemon, any citrus. So we'll be chopping off the ends, and then with my knife, I'll just be going down the sides and removing the pith, which is the white part, and the peel on the outside. What's nice about the segment or the supreme is it's just the flesh, so you don't have that chewy membrane either. Because if you notice, in between the slices, there's a membrane, and it can be quite chewy. So I'll just go in between the membrane like this, and remove the flesh. So just in a V pattern, and pop it right out, and then you have just that nice flesh part of the grapefruit.
Everyone enjoying their creme brulee? It's pretty quiet out there.
That usually happens every demo when the food gets served.
And don't worry, the portions will be larger if you actually go to the restaurant.
All right, so we look just about good here. We'll be taking our aroma tomato. I'm using aroma because it's a lot meatier. There's not a lot of seed and juices in there, so it's a very hearty, meaty tomato. So you just be taking off the end, and it also is a bit elongated, so it's prettier to look at as well. As just opposed to a round. So I took off the end. I'll just cut it in half, and then I'll make cuts long ways. And I just need about 2 slices. So we're ready to build our salad. Other components here we're using is the green beans or the haricot vert, and I just shot them into boiling water for about 30 seconds just to cook them al dente. When I took them out to keep the vibrant green color, I shot them in an ice bath to kill the cooking time so they wouldn't continue cooking. Now, potato confit, you might ask, what is that? Any kind of confit that you have, like a duck confit, you'd be braising the duck leg in its own fat for a long period of time, 2 to 3 hours on a low temperature until it becomes very tender. Now, obviously, potato doesn't have any of its own fat to do that, so I did it in olive oil at low heat just till they become tender. I added some thyme, salt, and pepper for seasoning, just until they're tender. You don't want to overdo it till they become mashed potatoes, right? So, and I just took a mold and before I started to basically braise them in the oil, I cut them out into a nice shape. So that's a potato confit, and then avocado slices. So we're ready to build our lobster salad. So I'll just take a plate here. I like using a white plate because the colors really pop out. You know, if there's floral patterns around the edges, it could get a little distracting. So with this is basically your canvas when you're cooking is your plate. So, with a nice white. All the colors, the reds from the tomato, the greens from the haricot vert really pop out at you. So we'll be adding our brandy cocktail sauce to the plate. Now, I'm adding a little dollop of it in the middle of our plate. This is going to act like glue. It's going to help bind or glue our leaves to the dish. So it's easier on the waiters too when they're carrying it around. Your lobster's not falling over the place. So a little more. So I'm going to be continuing to do this in between every layer. I'm just breaking the back of it just a little bit, just so that it's flatter and not curled up where it will move around too much. Now I would try 4, but I'm not too courageous here today. So we'll just do 3, so it'll stay in place. So now we have that. We'll just add our components around. It's not a tossed salad, so you really see all the different colors and the ingredients really pop out at you. What do we got?
Anybody have any questions so far?
Sorry, what was that? I wouldn't reuse it if that's what you're asking. It's basically just water, carrots, and celery. Like if you were to reduce it, you wouldn't get much more flavor out of it. No, I would pretty much not use it again. I would probably use a fresh one if I was to need court bouillon again. Yeah. So we have all our components on the plate. Once again, I'll add some sauce to the top for our lobster. A little bit all around the plate in between our components. The lobster will go on top. And for garnish, we'll be using chives. And then we're just going to drizzle some of our vinaigrette over our salad. And this is our LeCirque lobster salad completed.
Everyone thinks they can do that, right? Everyone can stack it just like that, too? Question?
Did you?
If she was to use the cream, or if she wanted to substitute something more calorie-friendly instead of the heavy cream, what would you suggest?
th- for the creme brulee?
For the cocktail sauce when you whipped in the heavy cream?
Oh, the whipped cream. Yeah, right. You could use a sour cream, but obviously it won't be as fluffy. You could also substitute the mayonnaise for a low fat mayonnaise. To be honest with you, it won't be as flavorful. But if you're conscious that way, then you could do that and maybe whip in some sour cream. As far as substituting the whipped cream, you need 35%. It's the only cream that will whip. So it's not the healthiest, but it's very tasty.
All right, moving down the kitchen.
Yes. So this is very easy, and it's one of everyone's favorite desserts. It's the LeCirque creme brulee. I'll go over some of the ingredients. Once again, 35% cream. There's no substitute for that. You can't use a lighter. It just won't turn out the same. It won't firm it as well. I guess you could maybe use a 10% and use more egg yolks to firm it, but
you got to just give in.
Yeah, you got to give in.
Dinner.
Yeah. So, I brought this to a boil, and once again, I brought it down to a simmer. It's our 35% cream. What I have here is 8 egg yolks. We'll be using white sugar, a vanilla bean. You could use vanilla extract as well. This vanilla bean itself costs $8, so it's quite expensive, but it's very nice because once you remove the seeds, it almost looks like pepper floating through your creme brulee and adds this nice little extra dynamic to your creme brulee. So to me, it's worth it to use. What's interesting about the creme brulee Cirque, unlike most creme brulees, they use a brown sugar. So it's going to burn a little darker when you're using your torch. But it adds this nice, more caramelly flavor than most creme brulees. So it's a nice little touch that they do there. Now, if you never cracked an egg before, for whatever reason, I'll demonstrate that for you. So I'm just going to crack it and then rock it back and forth in between the two halves of the egg, and that will separate your yolk from your whites. Okay. So we have our yolks. We have our hot cream here. Very important, we have our creme brulee molds here. So you want one that's basically this level. If you had a high ramekin, you'd end up with, it would be raw in the middle. It wouldn't cook all the way through. So that's why it's low and flat like this. This is actually our, sorry, if I could just get a shot. An overhead shot? No? Oh, there you go. Okay. It's like looking in a mirror. Okay. So this is our creme brulee dishes we use at LeCirque, and what's very cool about this is as you're eating it, the ingredients pop out at you. So you have the whole recipe right on your dish. Now we actually are selling them for $15.95, and it makes a great souvenir. If you're interested, you can just come see us after the demonstration, and we'll be happy to sell you one. At first, they wanted to put the calorie count on this, and that didn't go over very well, so we left it off.
Sometimes it's better not knowing.
Yes. All right, so everything's going here. We put our egg yolks into a bowl and give it a quick whisk. Now we're going to be adding our hot cream to our yolk. If I was to add it one shot or take the eggs and add it into there, you'd end up with creme brulee scrambled eggs. So what we're going to be doing is a technique called tempering. So we're slowly going to be incorporating the hot liquid into our eggs, our egg yolks, and just to bring up the temperature of our yolk until it's hot enough that when we add it completely back to our mixture, it doesn't curdle or cook on us. So I gave that a whisk. First, we'll add our sugar to make sure that it's dissolved. Oops. So we'll dissolve our sugar into our cream and then add our vanilla. So if you never worked with a vanilla bean, I'll show you how to do that. So we just have it flat here, and we'll be taking our knife and cutting it down the spine of the vanilla bean, cutting it into two. And then with the back of our knife, the flat part, we'll just scrape along the vanilla bean.
Now, what if you don't use a vanilla bean? How much of the vanilla extract?
So if you're using vanilla extract, it would be about one teaspoon to, one of these will equal about 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. It's a lot stronger flavor, the extract. But always the natural flavor for me is the way to go. And like I said, you'll see the peppery seeds, or the peppery looking seeds, kind of look like pepper flakes floating through your creme brulee, which is quite nice. Now, if you wanted to season your creme brulee at this point, you could take a lemon zest and add that to it. You could add a shot of espresso coffee to it, and maybe just use a little bit less cream if you were doing that. You could add basil. You could add, there's many different flavorings you could use, and you would want to incorporate it now, chocolate or anything like that. So we'll just give this a stir. Make sure the seeds are all not clumped together. Better to use a whisk. Now, if you were to take this mixture once the eggs are incorporated and added to an ice cream machine, you can make creme brulee flavored ice cream. If you were to cook this over a bain-marie with the eggs and cook it over that as opposed to sticking in the oven, you would end up with an English custard. So it's a very versatile mixture or recipe that we're using.
Okay, we do have a question over in the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, they would be most likely in your spice section of your market. If you were to store it, what you want to do is make sure that it's covered and wrapped very, very well, because they do dry out on you. But if it's stored, just in your pantry, don't put it in your fridge. Just keep it in a dry, dark area, wrapped up very, very well, and it should stay good for about, a month and a half, no problem. But they will dry out if they're exposed to air. So, and then you can't use them, of course.
Anybody else have a question right now?
All right, so now we're going to temper our eggs. So let's bring this a little closer. There you go. All right, so I'm just going to be whisking and slowly adding our hot cream into our eggs. Would you just mind holding the bowl? So yeah, you should be using a wet towel here. So you might wonder how long will it take till you know that the eggs are up to temperature. If you can just feel the bowl side of the bowl, you can see that it's warmed up quite a bit. That's a good indication that it's almost hot enough. So I'll add about this 1 liter of cream. I'll add about 1/3 to half of it into our mixture, and at that point I'll know that the eggs are hot enough to completely incorporate. So that's fine. It's up to temperature now. We've tempered our eggs. So I'll go the other way around. Now, if you're making this right away, you might want to let this set a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but there's bubbles that occurred while I was whisking it. So if I was to add that right to this and then cook it, you might end up with bubbles or not a flat creme brulee. So I'll just be adding this to our ramekin. Like I said, this is a good sized ramekin. It's not too high, so it's long and flat. So that'll ensure even cooking. Now, this is not going to pop up like a souffle, so you can get it as close to the top of the ramekin as you like. It won't expand on you as you cook it. Now, we're going to be cooking this in a bain-marie. So basically, we're going to be adding water to our cooking dish and placing that on that and putting it into the oven at 300 for 15 minutes. We're cooking in bain-marie for 2 reasons. It won't burn on the bottom, and as well, it's going to act like a steam bath. So as it cooks, you won't end up with a hard skin on top of your creme brulee. Another important trick through experience, you want to add your water first and then place it into the oven first, because it's hard when you have a bunch of creme brulees and then you're trying to balance with the water and your creme brulee spills out, and then it kind of becomes a mess. So I always add it, place my water bath in the oven first, then I'll walk over with my creme brulee and place that into the oven. So like I said, it would be 300 for about 15 minutes. So 15 minutes. Wait a second. Through the magic of television, we have one that's been cooked off already, and it's already set. So once that comes out of the oven, you would want to stick it into the refrigerator and let it set for 3 hours or so, just to make sure that it's firm enough to work with. So, like I said, we're using a brown sugar. This is kind of unique to the LeCirque creme brulee. Usually white sugar is typically used, so it's just going to give it a bit more of a caramelized flavor. So we just want to pack it down very nicely and even. And then we're using our torch. When I was a kid, just in cooking school and whatnot, I was at my mom's house. That's when she took out house insurance. So you don't want to get too close into there because it will burn, but this typically will be a little darker than your average creme brulee because it's such a caramelized sugar. So you just want to keep it, I'm about, I guess, 6 inches, maybe a little more. And I'm just rocking it around. I'm not staying in one place too long.
Everybody's favorite part, the top.
Yes. What's so great about creme brulee is that you got this nice hard layer, and then you break through and you got this nice custard soft mixture in the bottom. It's very nice. So there we go. So for garnish, I'm just taking a strawberry. You could use berries, whatever you like. And I'll just be making a strawberry fan out of it. So I'm just making small incisions or slices through the strawberry without going all the way through, keeping it intact on the bottom so it holds it together, and then just fanning it out. And that's my garnish. So there you go. There's the LeCirque creme brulee and our lobster salad. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And feel free to purchase or come take pictures of what I've prepared for you today, or purchase the creme brulee ramekin from LeCirque here if you like. Thank you. Oh, questions? Sorry, questions? You could harden it, put it in the fridge again and take it off. I've seen it done before. Make sure that you refrigerate your mixture, because this actually does heat up when you a little bit, and it kind of loosens up your custard on the bottom. So take it off once it's in the fridge. Keep it in the fridge for a little while, and then try again. Yeah.
Yes. The question is, can you use the vanilla bean for anything else?
Yes, I could have as well placed this into my mixture here, and it adds vanilla flavoring. What you can do also, which I like to do, is I like to collect the casings of the vanilla bean and stick it into vodka, and then I get vanilla flavored vodka. So there's a bunch of other. The casing is very flavorful, and you can use it for flavoring as well. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you everyone for coming out. It was a pleasure having you. And we look forward to seeing you around the ship.